Welcome to Life, Lafter Divorce Podcast, episode 82. I am your host, Leanne Linsky.
And I'm the boyfriend.
Welcome back to another wonderful week of divorce. We are thrilled to be here again this week, and make sure, as always, while you're tuning in, that you rate, review, and subscribe. And check out the website at lifelafterdivorce.com, where we have an online store filled with wonderful handcrafted and divorce-themed soaps for your bathing pleasure.
Don't forget the candles.
And the candles for your Zen-like moments.
And your coaching.
And life coaching to get your life on track. If you're looking for a fresh start, I'm your gal. So give me a call. Actually, just go to the website and schedule a session. I'm giving away some free sessions.
Yeah, that sounds great. So no texting while driving today?
No texting. Yeah, the PSA, you guys, no texting while driving. Pay attention to where you're going, because if you're not, the guy behind you is probably having severe road rage right now. And that would be me.
Yeah, because our summer has been sort of filled with work, right?
Yeah, it has.
Which causes us rage.
So yes, and the boyfriend and I, we have kind of it's just been a crazy year. We keep mentioning that it's been a crazy year, but we've had a lot of things going on. We're almost done with this move, right?
Yeah, almost.
Yeah, how's this move going for you?
It's been challenging, but it's been okay. We're almost done.
Here's the thing. You know what? It's like out of all 28 moves that I've done, this was really challenging because we've really dragged this out over time. And I think it would have it's like polly peeling the Band-Aid off instead of just rip that sucker off and be done with it. That's what it's like, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
the boyfriend's not saying anything.
It's been a painful couple weeks.
You guys, it's like you can't focus. It's just do it when you move. Just do it and be done.
Do
it
in a day and be done
with it. Because otherwise, you got to keep going back and forth, and then it's like, where'd I put this? And then you're like, oh, it's at the other place. And then you got to get in the car, you got to drive, or you got to bike over there, go get it. It's a pain. It really kind of is, huh?
So with the move and with work and with work and work and
all,
work.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. So the boyfriend and I have been, so we're better than we were a month ago. We're getting better and back on track, but we're really looking forward to like the 1st of September so that we can finally be not feeling like the sloths that we are and like bad. We don't eat terrible, but boy, when you get off track and you get on that slippery slope, I feel gross.
But about a month ago, we changed our diet. We've been trying to exercise a little more.
Yeah, and we've been doing better.
But we're not back to where we want to be.
Right. We're also not 20 again, so that's part of the problem. But here's the thing. Like, okay, so boyfriend's not on social media or anything at all. You guys know that. But I don't even want to take my photo. I just recently changed my profile picture, but I don't like taking pictures when I just don't feel good on the inside. Therefore, I feel like I don't look good on the outside. Do you feel like that?
Well, I think everyone has that. When they don't feel good, then that feeling gets projected to your outer image, and then people see that. Right? Yeah. And
then when you're driving on the road and someone's on their cell phone, then you're angry with them and you take out all your frustration on them. That's just, okay, maybe just me.
That's you.
But yeah, that's exactly what happens. Like it's like there's a reason they call it a bad hair day. If you don't feel like you look good, you're the rest of your day just goes to crap. Like it affects everything.
So it affects how you feel. So therefore, it affects how you perform at work. It affects how you have interactions with other people, friends, your relationship, everything.
Everything. It really does. Which is why I was really, really excited when we talked to our guest this week, because this is what she does. So let me tell you a little bit about our guest this week, because I think she's quite fascinating. So our guest this week is Meg Sullivan. And Meg is actually business partners with her sister Shannon, who is not in the interview this week, and we'll talk to at another time for sure. But Meg Sullivan is a certified Pilates instructor and certified fitness trainer. And Shannon Sullivan is a certified holistic health coach. And they're both former CPAs and corporate professionals who are leading experts in the field of female transformational work and body love. Meg and Shannon founded ENliteNED LIFE, a health and lifestyle consulting firm for professional women, and Bold Body Mantra Clothing, a consciously creative body positive clothing line designed to empower women to love the skin they're in. Meg and Shannon teach that the secret to delivering your greatest impact and commanding your worth is feeling confident in your skin and your body. Women working with Meg and Shannon have doubled their salaries, released weight they've been trying to lose for decades, and stepped into a life that they now love. Body love and body gratitude is the fuel for these transformations, not just for their clients, but also for Meg and Shannon themselves. So without further ado, Meg Sullivan. Meg, welcome to Life Lafter Divorce Podcast.
Thank you for having me, Leanne. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. This is really cool. I haven't seen you since Portland, and I know you and Shannon have been up to really great things. And I was wondering if we could start. We're going to be talking a lot about body confidence and relationships in this episode. And I know you kind of had an interesting story that you shared with me earlier, and I was curious. Would you mind sharing that with our listeners to start?
So you're going to put me out there. You're going to make me put my vulnerable side out there just to start with?
Yeah, well, we'll start with this. So first of all, okay, let me ease you into this one, Meg. So Meg is married, right?
Yes.
And you've never been divorced?
Correct.
Awesome. So
fingers crossed. Almost divorced.
Divorced.
Within the first year of marriage, almost divorced.
Oh, no. Well, they say the first 2 years are the hardest.
Well, they're right.
But you made it through, so that I'm glad about. And did you want to share about that? You don't have to. Just checking in.
I can share about that. And it's going to be less. It's not exciting, but basically, we got married. I was 23. My husband was 25. I had a very, very idealistic view of marriage that was not necessarily realistic. And once we moved past that, we were in a much better place. But I honestly do say, marriage counseling was the best decision that we ever made.
Really? That's fantastic. Mm-hmm. That's really good that it's worked, and good to know for other people, because a lot of times people often feel like that's going to be the moment of truth, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I love that you said about it being that you had this idealistic view of marriage, because I think a lot of us go into it with that same thing, Yeah.
And it's and that actually came up early, which actually the issues that I had with my now husband in that first year of marriage, so much of that was ironed out because I moved from having that idealistic view into, okay, what's realistic and what's actually going to make us both happy, and what makes sense here. Yeah. But the first time I realized that I had that super, super idealistic view of marriage and relationships was with my long-term boyfriend, who I was with before I met my husband. I was in my 20s, and it was really the first serious boyfriend that I'd had. We dated, 2.5, 3 years. And I feel like in your 20s, that's a serious relationship, right?
Yeah, that's really serious. Yeah.
But I do remember, and as this relates to body confidence too, one of the most hurtful, painful experiences that I had with him was that we had talked, we were going to grab dinner that night, and he's like, yeah, just come up to my apartment. I'll leave the door open. Just come in. We'll get together and then we'll grab dinner. So I remember I'd gone up to his apartment. I walk in, and on his computer screen is all this porn. I remember feeling so shocked. I was like, oh, I mean, it literally took my breath away. It took my breath away. And the first thing that came into my mind was, oh my gosh, what am I doing wrong? Like, why am I not enough? What's wrong with me? Is it something wrong with my body? I mean, of course, all these thoughts are then pouring in. Oh, does he not really like me? I thought I was his everything, and he needs this too. And as I mature and, you have more life experience, you see that that's not the case. There's a lot of people out there, guys, girls, whatever, that watch porn, and whatever works for you. Hey, I'm cool with whatever works for you. But at that point in my life and at that experience, I immediately internalized it and thought something's wrong with me. And it's because I was seeking validation from this external source. And so that was a huge turning point for me.
Yeah.
I'm happy I don't live in that idealistic place anymore.
Right. It makes takes a little pressure off of you, but I can totally relate. I think a lot of us have been in a similar situation, especially when we're younger, because there's a first time for everything. And it's like, I've never encountered this, and I thought it was supposed to be this way. And it's not like it is in the movies or the way my parents had it. So yeah, that can be very damaging to one's self-esteem. And especially we talk a lot on the podcast about obviously divorce, but it's numerous times it's come up with people cheating and other relationship issues. And sometimes relationship issues where not another person is involved, but maybe just the attention isn't there, or there's something else missing from that relationship. And we take it as a personal reflection on ourselves and how we feel about ourselves, or how we feel about our looks, because relationships evolve over time. So things can happen and you get closer to a person or you get farther away from a person. And somehow we always find a way to make it personal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's so common of women, right? And I think a lot of us immediately jump to this body confidence issue, at least the women in our community and the circles that we're involved with. It's something's wrong with my body. It's because I'm too heavy. It's because my body's different than when we met. It's because I've had children, and really deep down, it's usually not the case. But that's the story that we tell ourselves.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's interesting because the body confidence thing can show up in a number of ways. I don't know, I'm sure you've noticed this, but I've seen where the person becomes more introverted and starts declining social invitations and staying at home more and isolates a little bit more. But there's also the flip side of that body confidence where someone is suddenly putting themselves out there in ways they would never have done before, almost seeking attention to validate themselves and to reassure them that they're okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they project themselves as yeah, I've got this and I'm totally tough and I'm good, but really they're crumbling inside, but they're wanting to put on this show for the world to be like, I'm good, I'm okay, but they're not.
Right.
Yeah.
I call that the revenge body syndrome, right? Or revenge body could be, hey, that can be a great thing if you're doing it for the right reasons. If you're going after the revenge body because it's gosh, now I know my worth, I'm confident in my value, and this is what I want to do, and this is what I deserve, and this makes me feel good, go for it. You're going to be able to keep that forever. If you're going for the revenge body because it's I just want to get back at him for the event or for the occasion, it doesn't last. Yeah. It doesn't last. You're looking for external validation from somebody that really you probably shouldn't care what they think.
Yeah, right? Someone that you may have never even considered before, but now it seems like the ideal situation to do something crazy. And also it's like, when you see people in like an unhappy situation, I feel like, and even when we go through stress or different forms of life trauma or whatever it is, like things happen in our body, like we internalize it and it comes out in weird ways. And it can be overeating and putting on weight or just stress sweet or whatever it is. But the same thing happens too. Like the breakup is the ideal situation to like, give me a good breakup. I will drop every pound I ever worried about, like overnight. No lie. Like just thinking about a breakup, it's like boom, 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 pounds fall off. What is that all about? You know?
Well, it's interesting that you say that because I have said before that the breakup is the ingredient to weight loss. It's that secret thing that nobody talks about. And that is true. And I don't mean break up, get depressed, don't eat. That's not what I'm talking about. But whenever you are out of alignment, there is this muck or dis-ease, I'm going to say that as two words, under the surface. And it manifests in different ways. Sometimes it manifests with weight. Sometimes that underlying core reason is, career, relationship, body, lifestyle, whatever it is. Women are typically coming to us for weight loss because that is the symptom that's bothering them at that point. That's the symptom that's up in the forefront, but that's what it is. It's just a symptom. So in our groups, we use what we call this left arm policy. And what I mean by that is when somebody feels pain or tingling or numbness in their left arm, that oftentimes is the first sign that there's a heart attack going on. But if I go to the doctor and I tell the doctor that, hey, I have pain in my arm, can you treat the pain in my arm? And the doctor gives me, pain medicine to treat the pain in my arm, that's not solving the problem that's going on in my heart. Mm-hmm. And it's not solving the problem that's going on in my arm. So I always look at treating the root cause, which is whatever's going on under the surface. The weight is the symptom. The weight is the left arm. And the root cause it's the heart attack. It's whatever is causing the symptom. So when I say something like the breakup is the weight loss ingredient that nobody talks about, it's absolutely true. But it's because that breakup has put us into alignment, or we've broken up with that thing that is causing the symptom. So sometimes it's a relationship. Sometimes it's a marriage. Like I said, sometimes it's a career. Sometimes it's a certain mindset. And I'm oversimplifying this a bit for this conversation.
Yeah,
right?
Don't run out and break up with someone.
You're right. That's not what I'm saying. And it's not something that you usually just figure out in 5 minutes. But if you take the time to really excavate it, you find out what that root cause is. And chances are we already know what it is deep down, right? We know where the area of misalignment is in our life if we actually just quiet ourselves and think about it. But sometimes it takes time to decide if we're ready to make that final break.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of times, isn't it kind of backwards where people will say, well, if I just lose this weight, then I could do these other things. Then I can make changes here or there. And they put the weight loss first, rather, just like your arm heart situation. It's putting the cart before the horse.
Right. Right. And you treat the symptom. The weight loss is the symptom. It's kind of like diets. Diets treat the symptom. That's why most women are in 4 to 5 diets a year and 62 diets throughout their life, because those diets attack the symptom. Those diets it's the pain medication trying to treat your left arm.
Right. And they are not working. So better to get to the root of the issue. And I'm looking, I have to, full disclosure, I took a peek at your net body worth assessment, which is fantastic, because I was like, I'm feeling pretty confident. And then I'm sitting here going through this assessment and I'm like, well, wait a minute, maybe I'm not as confident as I thought I was. Because the questions on here are, well, they really make you think. And I don't have to sit and think and by that, I don't mean like I really have to sit and think before I answer each one. But as I answer them so quickly, like, do you often say yes to events or activities or meetings that you don't really want to attend? Yes. And then as I go down the list of these other questions that are similar, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm doing all of these things and putting all of these other things first instead of setting healthy boundaries and taking care of myself.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. And this is something that we make each of our clients fill out because we want to know where they stand. We want to know what's the area of life that's really the hang up per se, right? Because we already know the weight's a symptom. I know that you want to lose weight, and I know that you think once you lose the weight, you're going to feel more confident and be happier and all that other stuff. Great. But what's causing the weight? And it's funny that you say that because the assessment, it looks at communication, boundaries. It looks at your value, your worth conversation. Yes, food and movement, that's certainly part of it. But what is your inner critic saying? Too?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the value worth thing for a minute, because oftentimes, like, I don't always think of my weight as value or worth, but it's very closely associated, because if I'm having a good hair day, I feel like I'm worth $1 million, right? And there's a reason we call it a good hair day. There's no that's just like that. How we look is how we feel. As much as we'd like to say it shouldn't be that way, it is that way, right?
Right.
So, like, okay, well, my value or worth, like, is my contentment or happiness with my body tied to being a certain weight or fitting into a certain size? Well, as much as I hate to admit it, yeah, like if I am uncomfortable in my clothes or they're not fitting, I'm not going to be happy about that. And that goes back to like thinking, there's another question on here about, do you often feel like you're comparing yourself to the weight you were in high school or 5 years ago, or, when you got married? I laughed at that because there's a comic in New York who always talks about, hey, I'm trying a new diet. I'm trying to get back to my birth weight, which is ridiculous. But I feel like that's may as well be what we're trying to do, because that's impossible.
Right.
Like,
yeah. And so there's this huge connection between knowing your value and your worth. And sometimes I'll say secretly shifting the scales, right? Because that sounds kind of juicy. But the only thing I mean by that is weight loss being the byproduct rather than the focus. And also too, that worth and value conversation is also connected to staying in a relationship that maybe you shouldn't be staying in, or getting out of a relationship that you really know is over. I mean, it's all connected. Mm-hmm. But the idea of knowing our value or our worth is so key. And it affects the soul sucking job that we might be staying in. Like I said, the relationship that we know is over. Or like me, I mean, my situation where I was totally startled by walking in on my long-term boyfriend and there's a bunch of porn on the screen and feeling terrible, feeling like something was wrong with me and looking for that external validation.
Yes.
But it's the thinking that we're not enough, we're not good enough, something's wrong with me. And when you're in that mindset, you're not seeing your value. You're questioning it. You don't own it. And human nature is that we do not take care of the things we don't value. We just don't. Right. If you feel like you're not enough, if you're feeling like you're worthless or that you don't deserve, fill in the blank, whatever you want to put there, you're not seeing your value and you're definitely not taking care of yourself.
It's so true. And like on that note on validation and how we seek that out in the craziest ways. So a while back, I had worked retail for a while. And I worked in a higher end women's clothing store and spent a lot of time styling women. That was one of our things, is we made sure that when you came in, we just didn't send you to a dressing room. We spent the time to style you and helped you find some clothes that fit accurately, and kind of became your little personal shopper. And it was mind blowing how many women would come in, and the first things they'd say is, I need something with long sleeves or a long skirt to cover my knees or my elbows or my arms or my stomach, whatever it was they wanted to hide. right? Mm-hmm. And it was like, I look at him, I'm like, why would you want to hide any part of you? You look amazing. But that's in their mind. We have these weird things, like we have to cover these parts of ourselves up. And then these women would go through all this trouble to rule out most everything in the store and limit themselves to like 1 or 2 items because it would cover them. And then the other thing is that we tend to buy things that are not a true fit for us. Everybody comes in, including myself before I worked there, buying things that were size or 2 sizes too big, like having this image of ourselves that didn't fit what was actually there. And the other point is going back to this validation, my long way to get there, is that when women would come in and shop with people, they actually, like the significant other would be waiting outside the dressing room area. The woman would go in, she'd try on all of these clothes, come out beaming and feeling like $1 million in a terrific outfit, and walk out in front of him and be like, what do you think? And he's like, eh. And they would just, you could just see that they'd shatter them. Like they'd go back into the dressing room and say no to that outfit because someone else didn't approve it. Yet 2 seconds before that, they felt like $1 million.
Right. And they felt like a different person, and they walked with a different energy, and they had this magnetism that would have attracted people to them. And because their boyfriend or spouse or whoever is like sitting on his phone scrolling through Facebook, he gets the like, it's okay.
Exactly. Yeah. And you know, it took me a half hour to get them out of the clothes that were too big and hiding their knees and hiding their legs and hiding their arms and hiding their neck. And I was so back they go with a giant trash bag gunny sack, because that's what they felt comfortable in, you know, like something way too big and bulky, hiding all of the good things about them.
Right.
Because someone else didn't approve.
Right. Which even with that, right, with the trash bag gunny sack, the boyfriend or the spouse is still probably going to say,
yeah. Like they're like, whatever. And it happened all the time. In fact, there was one woman who came in. She was looking for a pair of jeans, and we had all these different jeans, you know, coming in and out that she was trying on. And she's like, well, he likes them a certain way. So we went and we found all the jeans that were like that cut or that shade and this and that. And every time she'd come out, he'd give her the, it's okay type thing, to the point where she got, after a good 45 minutes in the dressing room, she was so discouraged. She was crying, and she walked out of the dressing room in tears and left. And he's like, what just happened? And he went running after her. He had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
An hour later, he came back to the store. He said, do you still have all those clothes that she tried on? And I said, I can put them back together for you. And I go, what can I do? What do you need? And he goes, I would like to buy all of them for her.
So he's a good man.
So
but I agree. The style, and I'll tell you a little something that we do with our clients so that your audience can do it too. But we're not sharing a room and we need to decide on the paint color. Yeah. Like it's how do I feel in this outfit? Not do you like it?
Exactly. Right? Yeah.
But the exercise that we do with our clients is very similar to this. We require that they go to the store by themselves, so they cannot have a friend, they cannot have their spouse, they cannot have their mom. This isn't say yes to the dress. They can go with that personal shopper. They can have their personal shopper, or they can have somebody at the store help them. But they need to purchase one outfit, a complete outfit, not something that they're going to try and work different pieces together that they already have, but a complete outfit that they feel amazing in. And I tell them, I don't care if it's a workout outfit. I don't care if it's jeans and casual. I don't care if it's a power suit that you're going to wear to the office, or I don't care if it's a cocktail dress. I don't care if it's an evening gown. It doesn't matter to me what it is, but you have to feel amazing in it. And when you see that happen, and it's such a change, I mean, the posture changes, the energy changes, the way they carry themselves, their confidence changes. They have this magnetism, and I don't speak French, but they have this je ne sais quoi that you can't articulate it, but it's just, there's something there. There's a different energy that everyone is attracted to when they're in that outfit.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's confidence. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. And there's something so attractive about that. And on that point of like going out and buying this great outfit, what a great exercise to have, because so many women would come into the store and say, I have nowhere to go, so I'm not even going to look.
Right.
It's like, why would you rip yourself off of something so powerful?
Right. Why are you going to let somebody else or some other event define what you're allowed to buy and not buy, or which is basically in that case how you're allowed to feel or not feel.
Yeah. And just because you're not going anywhere, quote, special, whatever that means, like, why can't you feel great about yourself every day? Why can't we go to the grocery store and feel good? Why can't we wear something besides our favorite yoga pants, when we go put gas in our car and run errands? Why can't we feel good, whatever that means? I mean, if you feel great in yoga pants, go for it. But whatever that means for somebody, like, why wait until a special occasion or somebody else to invite you to something to make that happen?
Right. Yeah. Right. And what's so common with women, and it's along those same lines, is that when there is a negative experience. So like when I walked in on my boyfriend and there was a porn on the computer screen and I felt awful about myself, the logical was there. The logical was saying that, no, he's not doing this to hurt me. No, this isn't anything against me. It's not that something's wrong with me. It's not that I'm enough. The logical was there having that conversation, but the emotional overtook the logical. And yet with women, when it's something good or something positive, we let the logical overtake the emotional, which is so true. Like, with all the clothing exercise and that type of thing, we want to be able to say, oh, I feel amazing in that. But the logical says, yeah, but you don't have anywhere to go, so don't get it.
Yes. Oh, those two things need to learn to play better together.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's so true. And that's yeah. There needs to be some happy medium there where we can combine the two. So it just makes so much sense with what you're doing, because that's actually what you're doing, is you're bringing those two things together so that someone can walk out whole.
Absolutely. I mean, the easier answer is to, hey, let's just flip it. But sometimes it can be a little bit of a journey to get there.
Yeah, for sure. Right. Yes. And it's weird because we pick ourselves apart. There's all of this self-talk going on. And you guys actually put together your own clothing line.
We did. We launched a clothing line called Bold Body Mantra Clothing. And it's a body positive clothing line. And it's interesting when you were bringing up your experience in retail, because we did a lot of research to start the clothing line. And there's mantras of all different body parts. But here's where the research came in, is that we talked to so many women to see what they'd want, what they look for in clothing, what makes them not buy, what makes them become raving fans of a certain brand. And when it came to clothes, when we got on the phone, the first thing that they would always tell us is, well, when I buy clothes, I'm always trying to hide this, or I want to, I want this not to be seen. And it was the first thing out of their mouth, which it sounds like is your retail experience too, is give me something that can cover up this area that I don't like, that embarrasses me, that makes me feel uncomfortable. That's the first thing out of their mouth. You never hear, hey, I love my legs and I don't care what dress you get me, but I want it to be something that makes my legs, that shows off my legs, because I love my legs. You never hear that.
Right.
You always hear the negative first. And so really the point of the clothing line is to design these fun little mantras around different body parts that we struggle with. So one of them is arms of a goddess. Another one is grateful for these gams, which are legs, and just have fun with it. Have fun with it. It's, our body is our vehicle that transports us through life. So let's stop all the negative talk and inner critic about how terrible our certain body parts are, and let's celebrate their strength and have fun with it.
You're so right. I love those things. I'm like, oh, I have to get this shirt. And, and I love it. And I know that for our male listeners out there, you guys are probably wondering like, hey, what about me? You're welcome to purchase one of their Body Macho shirts. But the same thing goes for men, because men, they've encountered things in their lives, and after a breakup or things like that, we see the same things in them too. Mm-hmm. You know, I think we as women probably talk about it more. Men have like your word quota is much shorter than ours, smaller than ours in a day. And we tend to talk a lot about everything more. That's just the way we're wired. But it is so important to talk about, and what you're doing is very important, because you're not just trying to throw a template, one size fits all kind of program at people, because you get to the root of the problem. And also, even though people may have gone through a breakup and dropped a lot of weight, how sustainable is that if you're not, again, taking care of all the things that go with that, and creating a lifestyle, because it's really a lifestyle change.
Mm-hmm. And the weight that you drop through a breakup, I mean, there's probably more than two, but there's two that come to mind right away. So there's the, oh my gosh, I'm so devastated and upset that I can't even eat. That's not sustainable, and it's not healthy, right? So it might feel great that, oh, I'm really depressed about this, but I can fit in my skinny jeans. It's not going to last. There's the other weight that you drop after a breakup, which has to do with that value or worth conversation, where you saw, whether it was through your own decision or somebody else's, this wasn't serving you. This relationship wasn't aligned. And so you start to increase your value. You start to see that you're worth more. And just like I talked about, we don't take care of things that we don't value. We do take care of the things that we do value. We find a way to do it. We take care of the things that we value. That's just human nature. And when you know your value, you become the priority. There's no discussion about it. It's a
non-negotiable.
Yes. Why is that slipping my mind? But and I don't mean that in a bad or a selfish way, but you become the priority. And this relates specifically to weight loss. You don't miss the gym because something came up at work. You don't put something into your body that isn't going to serve you. And it's not just a food and exercise conversation. Those are definitely action steps that can lead to that result. But when you step into your value and you know your worth, you confidently communicate what you want. You confidently communicate what you expect, what you need, and you don't settle.
Yeah.
You don't live in that space where you're continuing to devalue yourself. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And that's another thing that you look at too in your assessment, is talking about how things are handled at work, because body image and how we perform at work, or how we ask for raises, or how we get what we think we deserve, that all comes into play there. So even outside our most intimate relationship, this carries out into the bigger scope of our world in so many ways. And I like that you talk about that in the assessment, because especially with women, we don't feel we're worthy of so many things that maybe men were. And not to get into that whole men-woman debate, but there's some truth there, right? Like, there's factual numbers. You're a numbers gal, so I know you have them about what those are and how that plays out into our other relationships.
Yeah. So the net worth and that value conversation has a huge impact on the financial side of things, especially for women. For women in particular, here's some crazy statistics that I can throw at you. So 97% of women lack body confidence and will actually say hateful things to themselves about their body on a daily basis. That's 97% of women. So now how does that relate to the financial side of things? Well, when you are asking for a raise or a promotion, or if you're a female entrepreneur and you're actually charging what you're worth, confidence is the number one factor in actually getting that raise, getting that promotion, charging what you're worth. Now, for women, body confidence is so intimately tied and connected to confidence. So let's take a look at that for a second from a financial perspective. So 97% of us are lacking body confidence, which correlates with the confidence. And here I'll throw out a conservative statistic. It's generally agreed that there's a 20% wage gap between men and women, meaning that women are getting paid 20% less than men when they're equally qualified and for the same job. So let's just use that number for conversation. I'm not getting into a debate about whether that should be or, men versus women difference, but let's just agree for this purpose that there's that 20% wage gap. So what that means is that 97% of women are under indexing their financial potential by at least 20%. And that's a tragic statistic, and it's very startling, and we can think, ooh, that really hurts. But let's actually quantify that. So what that means, and anybody here, take your pen and pencil, your calculator on your phone, you can run these numbers really easily. But what I want you to do to quantify that is to take right now your salary or your paycheck, whatever's easier, and I want you to add 20% to it. And get that number and see that number. And then I want you to think about, what could you do with 20% more money? Could you take more vacations? Could you buy a different home? Could you put more money into your retirement plan? Could you save more? What could you do with 20% more money? Or you could even say it a different way too, because some people out there might be like, hey, I am so cool with my salary. I'm fine. I don't need more money.
Who is this person? I want to meet them.
Write a comment if you are that person. No, but here's the other thing that you could do. Because money might be one thing, and it's not about the money. Really, money is opportunities and experiences of life. So I say money to quantify it, but it's really what can the money provide you, which is opportunity. But here's another way to think about it. Keep your paycheck or your salary or your client rates, keep them exactly the same. They're staying right where they are. And now I want you to think about working 20% less and getting paid that same amount of money that you're getting paid right now. What could you do with that extra time? Could you relax? Would you feel less overwhelmed? Could you travel more? Could you spend more time with family? Could you go to the gym? Maybe you're one of those people that's like, hey, I never have time for the gym. What could you do with 20% more time?
Right? That would be amazing. I mean, I would take either more money or more time, but yeah, it makes a big difference.
And so when you think about this value or this worth conversation, sometimes I think it's not very tangible. So it's hard to see what it's costing us, but that's what it's costing us. It's costing us at least 20% time or 20% money.
Yeah.
That's huge. And that's where, when you see that, sometimes that makes the women in our community, it's like, okay, this has to change right now.
Yeah.
I no longer accept this.
Fascinating. Such a good way to look at it. And it's interesting because it goes back to your perfect example of treating a symptom of the arm instead of going to the root of the problem of it being a heart. This affects so many other things in our life. Our closest relationships to our, way out there relationships on so many levels. So it's really key. I'm curious, with all of our listeners, what would be your best advice to them if they see the symptom of body confidence or weight? Yeah. So this is kind of one of our company mantras, right? This cuts across all the threads of all the work that we do. But basically, your body is your vehicle that transports you through life. It is there to support you in the experiences of life that you choose to have
And it's not something that's there to hold you back. And its value is not determined on its shape or its weight or its size. So start viewing your body that way. And when you start to view your body that way, you become fascinated with it rather than frustrated. And for some women out there, it's okay. You can still view your body that way and have gratitude for what your body can do and still say, yeah, that's great. And I still want transformation and I still want to lose weight. But viewing your body that way and having that gratitude is going to fuel that transformation rather than make that transformation difficult and struggle and unsustainable. Now, the other side of that is there may be women out there who maybe they've been trying to lose like the last 10 or 15 pounds and it's these vanity pounds and they're so frustrated with it and that type of thing. And when you view your body as the vehicle that transports you through life, you start to see it as, wait, why am I getting so caught up in these last 10 or 15 pounds when at the end of the day, my body supports me in all the life experiences that I want to have? It does. So why am I so frustrated with it? Why do I have this love-hate relationship with my body? It's doing what it's intended to do. And so you come from a different place of viewing your body, and that struggle is gone and it's replaced with gratitude.
Nice. I think I need to sign up for your masterclass.
Yeah,
I'm listening to you going, yeah, I'm on board with that. So you actually have a masterclass coming up. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. I'm excited about this. Yeah. So this masterclass it's called the 3-part framework to lose weight, gain confidence, and feel vibrant again. Which is what most of us want, right?
Yes.
Even if we don't need the weight loss, we want to gain the confidence and feel vibrant again. So it's really geared towards the professional woman. So corporate, that's where we were. We were in corporate America. So we know that lifestyle, very much the female entrepreneurs. We know that there's a different set of demands on the women that are in that type of environment, right? From working late to last minute projects to client lunches to travel. There's just a different set of demands. And so it's really geared towards those women. Even if you're not a professional woman, you're still going to get a lot of value out of this. But in the masterclass, we're going to talk about the link between body confidence and your salary, which we dug into a little bit here. Really look at how to adjust your behavior so that you're not putting yourself in this position where you're constantly self-sabotaging your efforts, and really how to have this vibrant life while still successfully managing your energy levels, your stress levels, your health, and learning how to communicate so you can kind of keep those all in check. I do say balance is a myth, but you want to make sure that everything's not too far out of balance for too long. And so those are really the areas that we're going to look at in this masterclass. And we have a couple different presentations of it. So there's going to be 3 different time slots. The first one is on September 10th, and there should be something that hopefully fits your schedule. We reached out to our audience and they said, hey, we want to be a part of it, but sometimes the time doesn't work for us. So we listened and we were able to find 3 different time slots here. So it's the same presentation, but you can grab it at different times.
That's fantastic. And this is free, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's all free.
You guys, this is a win-win. So, why wouldn't you is my question. That's a no-brainer. So I'm going to make sure that we put your links to the free webinar, the masterclass in the show notes. We'll also post them on social media, and the show notes are located on our website. So they'll be everywhere, available to everyone to grab a spot in that. You won't want to miss it. I think what you guys are doing is really cool. And if you're not sure this webinar is for you, I already checked out the net worth body assessment, and it's really a great quiz. I call it a quiz. It's a great assessment to take because it's very eye-opening. So if you're not sure, feel free to check that out. I'll put the link to that in there as well. This has been great, Meg.
Yes, thank you for having me. This has been so much fun.
You're welcome. I love it. I love it all. Love what you ladies are doing. And I can't wait to attend the masterclass. I'm already enrolled, so I'll be reporting back.
Well, perfect. And I'll see you there.
Thank you.